Welcome to Live TV. Washington at war right now. Dems aim for speedy impeachment push as Trump threatens whistleblower. And the support for impeaching Trump rises among independents and Republicans. The videos showing how Trump concerns and wants to find out the whistleblower.
Well, we're trying to find out about a whistleblower. When you have a whistleblower that reports things that were incorrect, as you know, and you probably now have figured it out, the statement I made to the president of Ukraine, a good man, a nice man, was perfect. It was perfect. But the whistleblower reported a totally different statement, like the statement, it was not even made. I guess statement you could say with call. I made a call. The call was perfect. When the whistleblower reported it, he made it sound terrible.
President Donald Trump and those close to him have lagged in mounting a viable defense nearly a week since House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced she would launch a formal impeachment inquiry. Pelosi and her deputies have signaled they'll work quickly to depose key players in the Ukraine scandal, hoping for swift proceedings that won't spill into the 2020 election year. But Trump has been slow to cobble together a response, convinced he has no need for a separate impeachment team and confident in his own ability to counter-message Democrats, multiple sources close to the White House told CNN. 6 days after Pelosi's announcement, there is now a growing concern among the president's allies that he doesn't understand the implications of what lies ahead or how quickly it's moving. Trump spent the weekend on the phone with aides and allies, railing against the whistleblower and those who provided the person with information related to his phone calls with foreign leaders, according to people familiar with the conversations. He also waged battle on Twitter, calling for the outing of the whistleblower, demanding the House Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff be questioned for treason after he read a fictionalized version of the president's call with Zelensky and accusing officials who provided the whistleblower with information of spying. Aside from the fervent tweeting, there were signs the White House would rely on its allies in Congress to defend the president as the impeachment inquiry heats up. Yet the limits of that plan were apparent Sunday, as Republican lawmakers struggled to justify what Trump said to his Ukrainian counterpart during a July phone call. A whistleblower complaint alleges Trump abused his official powers to solicit interference from Ukraine on that call in the upcoming 2020 election, and that the White House took steps to cover it up. Trump has denied doing anything improper, despite a transcript released by the White House showing he repeatedly pushed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden, his potential 2020 political rival, and his son, Hunter Biden. There is no evidence of wrongdoing by Joe or Hunter Biden. In interviews on Sunday talk shows, top GOP allies of the president repeated White House talking points, or in the case of Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, appeared to be reading directly from a prepared script. In an appearance on CBS 60 Minutes, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy was challenged for regurgitating White House talking points, though he denied having received them. Representative Jim Jordan, the top Republican on the House Oversight Committee, and CNN's Jake Tapper got into a contentious exchange Sunday on State of the Union after the lawmaker made false and misleading claims about the unfolding Ukraine drama. Tapper told Jordan in the Soda Show, "It's not gymnastics. It's the facts."
No, it's not, because the president is calling for Ukraine to investigate his rivals.
Jake, you're missing the fundamental point here.
I'm not missing anything.
The Democrats, if you want to impeach, if this is their argument, Rudy Giuliani talked to your Ukrainian. Rudy Giuliani, the private lawyer of the president, so we're going to impeach this president.
I'm not saying whether...
I think the American people are going, really?
I'm not taking a position about it.
In light of what this president has been able to do leading our country, in light of the economic growth, what he's done with our Supreme Court justice, what he's done with the embassy in Jerusalem, a host of things, you really think the American people are like, wait a minute, so Rudy Giuliani, the president's private lawyer, had a conversation
I think that you came here and leveled a bunch of accusations and allegations about Hunter Biden.
I didn't level. I just said the facts. Did he get paid $50,000 a month?
He was paid by a foreign company. Yeah, he was paid by Burisma. but Joe Biden was trying to get a prosecutor who was not pursuing corruption fired, and it was supported.
It's amazing the gymnastics you guys will go through to defend what. Do you really
Sir,
think
it's not gymnastics, it's facts.
The vice president,
and I would think somebody
States,
who's been accused of things in the last year or two would be more sensitive about throwing out wild allegations
I'm not
against
throwing
people.
out wild. I'm throwing out the facts.
The prosecutor was not pursuing corruption. That's why the entire West wanted him fired, including anti-corruption activists in Ukraine. I don't understand what you don't get about that.
I get that. I'm just talking about this specific case that there's been reporting on, and the facts of that specific case are what he was paid per month, $50,000. Like I said, that's more than some of the folks I get the privilege of representing in the 4th District of Ohio get paid in a year. He's getting that $50,000 a month. The vice president's son, he got hired for what?
The president's daughter right now is having all sorts of copyrights granted in foreign countries. That doesn't alarm you. The president's sons are doing all sorts of business all over the world. That doesn't alarm you. Come on. Either there's a principle that people should not benefit from their connections, or there isn't.
The previous administration's FBI went after this president on July 31st.
They did a crappy job then because they didn't even acknowledge there was an investigation
they went after him
until after the election.
They spied on 2 Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. They put Peter Strzok in charge of that campaign. The guy who said Trump should lose $100 million to zero. They allowed Jim Comey leak documents to get a special counsel. They used a dossier to go get a warrant.
The Sunday appearances did little to quell the furor around Trump's behavior. While they were in front of cameras without a strong rebuttal, Trump privately resisted appeals for help. He has dismissed talks of forming an impeachment response team, raging that talk of bringing former aides back to help him projected weakness. Last week, some of Trump's allies raised bringing in his former campaign manager Corey Lewandowski to spearhead a response team. The two men never discussed the idea directly, and talks fell apart after Trump grew angry that the discussions became public. White House aides now say it doesn't appear likely to happen. And he has privately declared he doesn't need any more lawyers, even though several people have privately told him that his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, isn't helping him. Other outside attorneys who defended Trump during special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election, including Jay Sekulow, have switched to working on impeachment. Despite Trump's resistance, at least one administration official conceded it was likely additional lawyers would be needed. Sekulow said last week on the interview with Chris Cuomo that no impeachment war room at the White House is being set up. The president met Friday with White House lawyers and his personal counsel to discuss a strategy for dealing with the Democrats' impeachment investigation. Aides were expected to further brief Trump on plans for an impeachment response sometime this week, according to administration officials, though some inside the White House view the past 6 days as a lost opportunity to shape public opinion at the outset of the inquiry. Trump has sought to control the message himself on Twitter, mainly in angry bursts fueled by conservative media. The fuming has caused some fractures within the Republican Party, a problem for the White House, which has largely relied on Republicans in Congress and outside the administration to defend Trump, instead of internal administration officials. GOP Representative Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, responding to Trump's tweet quoting a pastor warning of a civil war-like fracture, wrote that language was beyond repugnant. "I have visited nations ravaged by civil war," he wrote. "I have never imagined such a quote to be repeated by a president." Trump's behavior throughout the controversy has frustrated top officials in the West Wing because the president will not give up on his conspiracy theories about the 2016 election that can be found in the rough transcript of Trump's call with Zelensky. Trump's first Homeland Security advisor Tom Bossert, who was pushed out when John Bolton arrived as National Security Advisor, was the first former official to break with Trump on the nature of his call with Zelensky, saying he was deeply disturbed by the matter but cautioned that it was far from proven whether the president threatened to withhold military aid over it. Still, Bossert painted a portrait of a president consumed by debunked conspiracy theories about Ukraine, warned over and over they were wrong, and still intent on pursuing them. "At this point I am deeply frustrated with what he and the legal team is doing and repeating that debunked theory to the president. It sticks in his mind when he hears it over and over again, Bossert said on ABC's This Week. Bossert's frustration with Giuliani reflects growing anger in Trump's orbit at the former New York City mayor, who operated outside the confines of the administration to pursue Ukrainian officials and convince them to investigate the Bidens. Trump has stood back as Giuliani has entangled the Secretary of State and other administration officials in the scandal, asserting Mike Pompeo had a hand in his Ukrainian outreach. "I did not do this on my own," Giuliani said on CBS Sunday. "I did it at the request of the State Department, and I have all of the text messages to prove it. And I also have a thank you from them from doing a good job." When I talked to the secretary last week, he said he was aware of it. Despite deep frustration inside the White House over his doings, Giuliani has been the mainstay defending Trump on television. This is, in part, on purpose, two people close to the matter said. Because Giuliani is seen as someone who can't be controlled by anyone other than Trump, officials have decided to sit back and let him go on television until he burns himself out. Then, these people said, the president's allies, who are better equipped, will step in. The latest subpoena for Rudy Giuliani would affect more to the impeachment and would make the situation even tougher for Trump. Support for impeaching Trump rises among independents and Republicans. Americans are about evenly split over impeaching President Donald Trump and removing him from office, as support for that move has risen among independents and Republicans, according to a new CNN poll conducted by SSRS after the announcement of a formal impeachment inquiry by House Democrats last week. About half, 47, support impeaching the president and removing him from office, up from 41, who felt that way in a CNN poll in May. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell on Monday said that the Senate would have no choice but to take up impeachment if the House passes articles against President Trump. "Well, under the Senate rules we're required to take it up if the House does go down that path, and we'll follow the Senate rules," McConnell said during an interview with CNBC. Pressed on if he was saying the Senate would take action on impeachment, he added, "I would have no choice but to take it up, based on a Senate rule on impeachment."
And will follow the Senate rules, McConnell said during an interview with CNBC. Pressed on if he's saying the Senate would take action on impeachment, he added, quote, "I have no choice but to take it up based on a Senate rule on impeachment." McConnell's comments come after House Democrats announced last week that they were.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget like and subscribe. Leave your comment for video. Thanks.